This episode is brought to you by ProMensal.
When I hit my mid-40s, I just started to just chunk up. And it wasn't my belly. It was this belly fat that I just couldn't get rid of. And I was like, no matter how much I exercised and, I was trying to eat as healthily as possible. Being a nutritionist, you eat healthily, but then you kind of go, what am I doing wrong?
Welcome to Thriving in Menopause, brought to you by Prevention Magazine. I'm Andrea Duval, and on this podcast series, I know we've discussed the changes that can take place with our weight due to our fluctuating hormones, and at the same time, we've also talked about the fact that eating for our health and not fitting into our teenage genes is where our focus really needs to be, and feeling energized and truly present and happy in our life right now is the number one priority. But what does that look like? So today we're getting really practical about healthy eating with nutritionist Faye James. Welcome, Faye.
Thank you so much, Andrea.
You've got a new book called The Menopause Diet, and I think the word diet's often misunderstood, isn't it? Because it's really a name for a way of eating.
Yeah.
And what I love about your book is that it has over 75 delicious recipes for breakfast, lunch and dinner. So it puts healthy eating in a really practical context.
Thank you.
Put this way, diet doesn't mean deprivation, does it?
No, it definitely doesn't mean deprivation. What it means in this context is, like you said, a way of eating. It's to help aid menopausal and perimenopausal symptoms in a very approachable, attainable way.
I love the fact that you show us meals that use everyday ingredients that we can whip up after a busy day and the whole family will find tasty, but also address our nutrition needs. So how did you come to the idea of writing this book?
Yeah. So my philosophy is all about simplicity. One thing I can't stand is healthy recipes that are really complicated and convoluted and that put people off cooking.
Yeah.
And I wanted to create recipes that are really easy and attainable. So they're realistic for, women like us going through the menopause or perimenopause and just everyday living.
I really hate when you have to go and buy specific ingredients for a fancy recipe and then it sits in your pantry, never to be used again. I picked one up the other day and it said, expires 2013.
Oh,
it was
my God. Yeah, exactly. And a lot of, without dissing them, but there's a lot of, books out there, healthy eating books that are just too complicated.
Yeah, I agree. So I imagine that part of this came about through your own personal journey, shall we say.
Right, yeah.
So perimenopause is on your radar?
Yeah, for sure. I'm in my mid to late 40s. I've put on about I've managed to get it off now thanks to the menopause diet, but I did put on about 5 to 10 kilos. When I hit my mid 40s, I just started to just chunk up. And it wasn't my belly. It was this belly fat that I just couldn't get rid of. And I was like, no matter how much I exercised and, I was trying to eat as healthily as possible. Being a nutritionist, you eat healthily, but then you kind of go, what am I doing wrong? And then I was getting achy joints and itchy ears. Like one of the symptoms of itchy ears. I don't know if you've had itchy ears before. Just itchy skin.
Oh, yeah.
Just feeling a little bit moody and a bit down. And then I sort of, it was just, I really wanted to get to the bottom of how I could alleviate these symptoms. I was quite a big, I love meat. So I just found that I was replacing more of the kind of meats with tempeh, tofu.
Can I just ask, how did the family feel about eating tempeh and tofu instead of mince in their bolognese?
Look, the kids don't mind it. I mean, sometimes, to be honest with you, I do kind of make them their own meaty versions because I just feel with kids, they probably do need the red meat because they're growing. But when we hit our mid 40s, we really need to stop growing.
Fair call.
We need to look at alternate ways to digest protein and get our protein consumption without sort of the sort of added problems that come with having lots of red meat.
Okay. Any other things that you...
Yeah, so spicy food. I love spicy food, but those exacerbate your symptoms, particularly if you experience hot flushes, which I have done at night sweats, etc. Coffee. So having coffee, no more than 2 cups of coffee before lunch.
So you can sleep at night.
Yeah, really reducing sugar.
It's interesting because you do have some delicious looking desserts in here.
Yeah.
So what have you done to make those healthier?
Yeah, so it's about reducing the sugar. So there's a lot of replacements there. So we've got maple syrup, which is still sugar, but not as high in the sort of the sugar glucose load as regular sugar. Using fruit, almond meal.
Which is better than using, say, white flour.
It's high in magnesium, which we need. We need lots of magnesium as well. Yep. And also, we need to, I'm not saying that we need to go completely low carb, but it reduce our carb load. Yep. So in doing that, almond meal is a lot less low in carb than white flour.
I've got to say, your husband, Darren, is a great food photographer. So do you develop these recipes on your own or does he help?
No. He helps eat them. But I'm the recipe developer in the house, yeah.
One of the things that I also seized on with this book is that often when nutrition experts are discussing healthy eating, they talk in terms of grams of specific ingredients. We should get 20 to 30 grams of protein per meal, but really that's not helpful for those of us that are looking at a chicken fillet and going, I've got 125 gram fillet. How much of that is protein?
Yeah.
And the onus then becomes upon us to become nutritionists.
Yes.
So it's much easier to think in terms of specific foods we should be eating instead of ingredients, right?
Yeah, for sure. Going on to the protein amount. So, what I try to say to my clients is like, if you want 20 grams of protein, so that's like 3 eggs or a quarter of a large chicken breast or, about 190 grams of Greek yogurt, 120 grams of feta. So think in terms of like a half a tin of red kidney beans. So try and think in terms of amounts which are kind of very relatable.
There's a lot of conjecture about protein becoming particularly important during menopause and midlife.
Yes.
Can you explain why?
Yeah, because we basically lose our muscle as we age. And protein really helps. First of all, it really helps fuel us throughout the day. It helps with muscle loss, and it helps us feel really satiated throughout the day. So we tend to eat less.
Right. So that's super important for being healthy, is to tamp down those hunger signals.
Yeah.
So the more protein that you have, the more it's going to sustain you to the next mealtime and stop you going to the cookie jar.
Yeah, so a lot of the breakfasts suggested in the book are very protein rich.
I think probably too, protein leverage theory comes in here with the idea that if you eat it within half an hour of exercising, it helps you develop more muscle benefits from exercise, something else that makes it a good thing. Yeah,
and also you can pre-workout. If I tend to, in the mornings, I work out without any breakfast because I feel a bit sick. But if you want breakfast beforehand, then to have a protein-rich breakfast about an hour beforehand can also help.
We'll be right back after this.
Perimenopause can actually start in your 40s. Declining estrogen production during perimenopause brings on changes to menstrual cycles and often the onset of hot flushes, night sweats, mood swings, and sexual problems. Promensal Peri is specifically designed for perimenopausal women and can help relieve these common menopausal symptoms. Promensal Peri is available at leading pharmacies across Australia and offers a cost-effective treatment at under $1 a day. When things start to change, try Promensal Peri. Always read the label and follow the directions for use.
Okay, we're back. When you were talking about having less red meat in your own diet, there's a lot of talk and conjecture about the importance and the benefits of either going meat-free or eating less red meat. I guess let's talk about going meat-free and how we can avoid missing out on some of the key nutrients we get from animal-based protein.
Yeah, for sure. So one of the first things people often ask me is, how do I get my iron intake? If I don't have red meat, how do I get my iron intake? I'm actually anemic myself, so it's one thing which I'm very aware of. So there's a lot of plant protein sources which are high in iron, like kidney beans. So cooked kidney beans have about 1.7 milligrams of iron, and brown lentils have about 2.37 milligrams of iron per 100 grams. Also, zinc is one thing which people worry about missing out on.
What does zinc do for us, for our health?
Oh my gosh, many things.
Yeah. So, I mean, I know that iron is like super important for busy women because it gives us energy.
Yes.
But tell me about zinc.
Well, zinc gives us energy too, and it's also fantastic for our immune system. It really is. When people have a cold or flu, it's really key that you up your zinc levels. It's great for skin, hair, general health. It's one of those what I call power nutrients that you really do need in your diet, and zinc is fundamental. So, if you worry about getting your zinc levels when not having red meat in your diet, you can get that from things like whole grain bread has zinc in it. So 3 slices. Or a handful of mixed nuts will give you 30 grams, and 150 grams of red kidney beans will give you zinc as well. So these are all things which you can consider instead of red meat. Then also vitamin B, that's a deficiency people worry about when going plant-based. That can be found in spinach and fermented foods. Mushrooms have high levels as well.
Oh, my goodness.
So shiitake mushrooms, yeah.
The things they're discovering about mushrooms, I was reading this morning about their amazing cancer-fighting properties. I think we're only just starting to tap into why we should all be eating more mushrooms.
Yeah. I mean, you've got your functional mushrooms too, like reishi and shiitake and lion's mane. There's lots of research being done around that too, yeah.
Not your current button mushrooms.
No.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, mushrooms are fantastic. So there's lots of things you can eat, and to replace the vitamin B, the zinc, and the iron that you would get in red meat.
Oh, that's great to know. Tell me, what are your favourite recipes in the book?
Oh, yes. So my go-to for lunch is a salmon soba noodle salad.
Yum.
I love that. It's got edamame beans in it, so it's high in protein. It's got buckwheat soba noodles, lots of veggies. It's absolutely delicious.
I wasn't aware until recently that actually you can buy frozen edamame beans, like frozen peas, and it's changed my life.
Oh, right. Yes, they are fantastic. I buy those myself. I also love the mango cheesecake. It's got a nice low carb base.
So let's have a look at the mango cheesecake. So in the mango cheesecake, you've got the flesh of 3 mangoes. Yum, probably not right now, but we can look forward to this in summer. You've got cream cheese and Greek yogurt, and all those things that I guess we think of as being kind of naughty foods. So tell me why this works.
Look, cream cheese and Greek yogurt, they're not naughty foods.
Probably not Greek yogurt, but cream cheese.
There is a bit of a fallacy around cream cheese being a naughty food. I think you can still have it in your diet, but, obviously not heaps of it and every day. But, in a cheesecake, it's fine.
It's about the portion, yeah?
Yes,
okay.
Yes. This has a almond meal base. It also uses monk fruit extract, which is like 0 sugar. So there is very little sugar in the actual cheesecake, apart from the mango.
Okay, I'll bookmark that one. Thank you. So you're a bit of a sweet tooth?
I do love sweets, but I don't eat huge amounts. I'll just have a little portion at the end of the night. And I think that's just key in feeling like you're living in life. You don't want to just restrict yourself, right?
Completely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You want to enjoy your years, like you hit your mid-40s, you don't want to be going no to cake, right?
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more. Although, as you say, it depends on your choices.
Yeah.
But, what you're talking about is a small portion of something you love.
Yeah.
Is a good way to be kind to yourself.
Yeah.
We'll be right back after this. Okay, we're back. So while we're talking about real food, I'd love to hear your tips for doing the weekly shop each week.
Yeah.
What sort of things should we be putting into our trolley?
Yep.
And how should we be navigating the supermarket to benefit our health?
Yeah. So there's what you call shop within the perimeter. So this is where the whole foods can be found. So you're looking at the fresh vegetables, fish, meat, poultry, dairy, and baked goods. So
Around the outside.
yes, around the
perimeter,
outside.
okay.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. So mainly stick to that area. However, in these times, hard times that they are, I wouldn't say no to frozen fruit and vegetables. Yes, because, fresh fruit and veggies can be super expensive. I mean, the other day I wanted to buy my son some strawberries and I walked into IGA and they were like $12 a punnet.
Yeah. Whereas if you go to get the frozen ones,
Yes. You can get a kilo bag for $8.
yeah, and then you've always got them in the freezer. So
Exactly.
I guess I've always subscribed to, for quick, easy weeknight meals, the frozen veg is our go-to at home.
Yeah. Don't feel bad in buying frozen veg as well, like frozen broccoli, frozen spinach, frozen peas, like you said, frozen edamame. These all have key nutrients still in them. So, if you need to, tuck into frozen vegetables, don't feel bad about it. I think it's the key. Yeah. So you go to the frozen aisle if need be. Also, sometimes buying like fresh salmon can be super expensive, or fresh tuna. You can buy tinned or canned sardines, canned salmon, canned tuna. I know there is, this whole thing about mercury, et cetera, but, there canned salmon, canned tuna is great alternative.
And it's easy. You
Yes.
just have it in the pantry, always as a standby and as a quick lunch.
Yep. Yeah, and another tip I have is if you go to the Odd Bunch section, well, Woolworths call it the Odd Bunch, and it's where you can find the carrots which are a little bit misshapen or larger than usual, and it's much cheaper, but there's nothing wrong with the vegetables and fruit. It's just that it's, slightly misshapen. Buy that instead.
Yeah.
That's a great option. And when it comes to buying staples like nuts, flour, rice, quinoa, almond milk, etc., try to opt for the own brand. So you can buy Woolies' own brand or Coles' own brand, because that's much cheaper, because it's often the same ingredient, but just in less fancy packaging. So those are all things that I recommend doing, because it's sometimes hard, to stay healthy and stay within budget, because, a lot of clients come to me and say, well, look, it's all good and well eating healthy, but how do I afford it? Batch cooking is another thing you can do, is every Sunday, just batch cook a big vegetarian lasagna or what have you, or curry, and pop it in the freezer and portion it out when you need it.
Really smart for those nights you get home and you cannot bear to cook.
Yeah.
And much more thrifty than ordering 2 takeaway pizzas, which I think is about over $50 these days.
Oh my God. And then some.
Yeah. Thanks so much for chatting with us today, Faye.
Thank you so much for having me, Andrea. It has been an absolute blast. Thank you.
If you'd like to get a copy of Faye's book, we have a link in the show notes. And if you like this episode, please subscribe and leave us a review. Meanwhile, for more great information about living your best life at midlife, pick up a copy of Prevention magazine. I'm Andrea Duval, and I'll see you next time.